Hello, I am Joe McDonald and this is Big Mac's Battle Blog, shirtless edition. Yeah, just about to go to bed. So, there's no particular point to this video, just a bit of an update. But the last video or post I made, I was on about how we had this really bad spot of winter a couple of weeks ago when you would have seen on the news that there was like meter deep snow in Kherson, and there was a huge storm that like damaged the Kerch Bridge and stuff, and then it sort of turned normal again. It turned to about the kind of temperatures that you'd expect in England at this time of year, like 1 or 2 degrees above freezing, not that bad really. And now it's come back. Like, I've never seen a massive lake and river like frozen over and covered in snow before. I tell a lie, I saw the River Spree in Berlin like that once, but the scale of the Dnipro is much bigger, so that was kind of interesting. But also, yeah, it's just fucking miserable. Like, what can I say? Part of me's been questioning my life choices over the last couple of days. I'm being in the drones. I am lucky because I get to work in a building for most of the time. And, especially on rainy days, which we do get through the Ukrainian summer, it's nicer being indoors, than it is sat in a trench or whatever. But I'm not really sure if I'm better off at the moment, because the buildings we work in are like this really heavy concrete, and it really sucks up the cold and pumps it back out. And when we have to go outside to put an FPV on the ground or go and get something out of the car or something like that, I'm pretty certain, at least when the wind isn't blowing in your face, that it's actually colder in the building. I mean, there's 3-foot long icicles in the building. I put a photo up on the community post today. So yeah, what can I say? British people, we love talking about the weather. But yeah, it's pretty miserable. We did some bombing missions today. We found some footprints on one of the territories that we're looking at, one of the islands. So some Russian soldiers had clearly gone to this house, and there weren't any footprints going in. So we dropped a bomb on it, and then we dropped an incendiary on that position and burnt the house down. No one came out, so fuck those guys. But yeah, and then in retaliation for that, some tanks and artillery opened up, but nothing actually hit our position, just in the general area. So yeah, nothing particularly exciting, just a normal day at work. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to move so this bloody glare from the light doesn't affect you too much. So yeah, in other news, there's some interesting developments happening with technology, and I think there's already AI weapons out there. The Lancet drone, for instance, is basically like an AI system. But I think very soon what we're going to see is the rise of the machines. Very, very soon. I mean, that's the really terrifying thing about drone warfare, is that if you've got a degree in computer science and you can, and a bit of a budget, you can very easily make AI drones now that you can just put up in the air and, set them some parameters like don't attack anything behind this point on the maps that we've built into you. And off they go. And they'll be able to very easily tell the difference between someone in Ukrainian uniform and someone in Russian uniform. And very easily tell the difference between, a BMP and a BMP with a big Z painted on the side of it. So, yeah, that is something we're about to see. I have to admit that it worries me a little bit because, well, partly because, I really enjoy learning to be an FPV pilot and becoming an FPV pilot. And I've got a feeling that these AI drones might make being an FPV pilot one of the coolest but shortest lived military professions ever. The other, what can I say? When I was a little boy when Terminator came out, the film with Arnold Schwarzenegger for the Zoomers and the Zoomers and the Gen X, whatever, the young people who watch my channel, yeah. So I think generally speaking, we've always imagined that when autonomous robotic weapons came along, it would be like something like a man, or maybe something like a fighter plane or a tank that could just like drive itself. But it's not. It's going to be much smaller, cheap to produce things, and yeah, I'm as far as I can see, there's no real international treaties on that yet. But I don't think Ukraine particularly wants to launch AI weapons, but it's essentially something that a small unit with 100 grand's worth of workshop, which isn't a lot of money when you're talking about military development, could put together themselves. So I don't think there's any way to stop it. And the fact of the matter is, as I've already said, we've got a terrible shortage of shells. So, it's not like we've got any other option. So, yeah, I'm not sure, you probably haven't heard it here first, but believe you me, within the next 6 months, AI drones, autonomous weapons, like fully autonomous weapons, that don't require a signal to guide them to the target. Because that's currently how all FPV or normal drones operate. There's an antenna that sends a signal to that drone, and that's how you fly it. And there's different sorts of signal you use, but AI drones don't need a signal. You've just got to give them some parameters so they don't turn around and start attacking your guys, and off they go, all on their own. So, yeah, interesting. There's a Chinese curse, I believe. May you live in interesting times, and we certainly do. So, anyway, it's goodbye from me, Joe McDonald at Big Macs Battle Blogs. As you can see, I've got an American flag behind me. Came from one of my donators who also made me a knife, which I'm not going to get it out because my body armor's on the other side of the room and I have to get up. But yeah, but anyway, it's goodbye from me, Joe McDonald at Big Macs Battle Blogs. And as always, to our Russian and Vatnik listeners, Idi Nahoy Zalupa.